Agenda quickly. So I've welcomed everybody already here. Those of you that don't know me, my name is Guy Jelly. I'm the CEO of PPO. Between myself and Taryn Lee France, we will be running you guys and girls through this webinar today. So those are in terms of introductions, and I'll introduce Helga a little bit later when we get to the Harmony Gold Project Manager Scorecards. So really the intention or the agenda today is to revisit some of the deployments that we've done. So I'm not going to run through the entire set over there. We'll get to it just now, but it's some of the deployments we have already finished. We'll then pause and look a little bit at the case study of what Harmony has done. They've done some very unique stuff in helping manage the Project Manager Scorecard, or the sort of performance criteria for the project managers. We'll then cover some additional stuff in PPO that we've been working on. We're going to allow some Q&A at the end, but if there's a question that does pop up during the session, please feel free to pop it in the chat. Myself and Lindy will assist and try and address and answer any questions we have. And then the resources is just a link at the end of this presentation, which you'll get, which we'll share with you as well. So post this webinar, you'll get an email. It will include this presentation and the necessary links, as well as the recorded video. But all of the stuff that we do is covered in our blog. So I'm going to spend a minute or two talking about that in a second. If we just move to the next slide quickly, even though there was a period of, is it not our quarterly review, Taryn, the next slide?
Yeah, it is.
There you go. You're confusing me now. Okay, so even though we've had a bit of a December period, and for those of you that have been PPO clients for long enough, you'll know that we try and do our last deployments around November. We generally don't deploy too much during December and January. Those are periods where our team is primarily taking a bit of a breather. Your teams are probably taking a breather. People are generally away from the office, so it's not a great time to deploy new functionality. So even though the last time we did this webinar was a while ago, at the end of last year, this is what we have delivered in the last quarter. We'll cover a lot of these items during the session today, and some of them and most of them have all been covered in our blog as well. And these articles also get published, as I said, in the blog and sent out to you on the newsletter. So we're really trying to make sure that by hook or by crook, you'll be aware of each and every one of these. So if we move to the next one quickly before we jump into the detail, just welcome. I don't know if they're all online yet or joining us today. So some of our new clients from the last quarter, we've got a enterprise PMO that's come on board at the University of Joburg. We've always dealt with their operations area, all the physical facilities and those type of things, but they've now expanded their EPMO out fairly aggressively. A new agile project office in Nedbank Private Wealth. We have a number of clients in the Nedbank space, so good to see another one joining there. And then two consultancies. We do a lot of work with consultancies from the big brand names all the way down to small niche consultancies. Both of these two, funnily enough, in the human capital space. So I serve in S Cubed, so thank you very much for them as well. There are some other clients that have joined us, but yeah, these are just some highlighting some of the clients we've been successful to bring on board in the last quarter. So thanks to the new clients and thanks to the existing clients for sticking with us, and hopefully after today's session you'll get some more value out of PPO and the new features. Last slide from me before I hand over to Taryn. Our blog is very important. We say it all the time. So for those of you that haven't, I'm sure Lindy will pop it in there. On a weekly basis, on a Thursday, we send you a newsletter. It includes one main article, and that main article typically covers either a new feature that has been deployed in that week or a client reference of something that some client has done uniquely on PPO, which may help and assist you as well. We don't sell that list. We don't use it for anything else. We don't have Black Friday specials or any of that type of stuff. We literally just want to make sure our client base, all users, not just administrators, not just PMO managers, are aware of all the features. Our DevOps team work in a truly agile way. They deploy basically on a daily basis. Small incremental changes, some of them will not be impacted in terms of the user interface, but we want to make sure that all these new features we deploy and you guys and girls are aware of it. Remember, your PPO subscription model gives you free version upgrade. So every time we add something new to PPO, everything you see today, all the Project Manager Scorecard stuff that you'll see, Harmony, that's all available to all existing clients. It's up to you as PPO administrators, PPO owners, to decide what's applicable, to decide what to use, to activate and switch on certain functionality. So we really try as hard as we can, as aggressive as we are on the product roadmap, we try as hard as we can to make sure we communicate this to everybody. So if you haven't signed up yet, please sign up for our blog. It's literally just a link over there. You give us your name and your email address, and once a week on a Thursday, we'll pop you a short newsletter, and you'll be able to click on that and see what's new. So in terms of that, I'm going to hand over to Taryn. I'm going to ask her to take us through the next couple of sections. And if there are questions, as I say, pop them in the chat, and myself and Lindy will address them as we go through the session.
Thanks, Guy. Give me a second. I'm just going to stop sharing my presentation and jump to PPO. Okay, for the purpose of today's session, I am going to attempt to use our fancy new dashboard views, and I'm going to present solely off of our dashboard views just to show you the ease of use and how you can access everything from one view, from one dashboard view. So the first feature that we're going to start off with, according to the agenda, is the My Links widget. It's important to note that the My Links widget was something that we deployed probably early Feb, maybe the second week of Feb, but it is available only to the clients that have the new customizable home pages. For some of you that got the customizable home pages a bit later, you may not already see this My Links widget visible on your new customizable home page. So I'm going to spend a couple of minutes showing you how you would do it, but I also want to just talk you through what the My Links widget is. The My Links widget is a mechanism for you to store or access your frequently access links or sites, applications, all from one place. I know that for some of the users, PPO is not something that they open first thing when they start their day, but now you can. So, I mean, just looking at my dashboard view, we can all see what's important to me. Leave is the first link that you see here. So if I were to click on it, it's going to take me to our online leave management system. Had I logged in and saved my login details, it will take me directly to my profile. Templates. So when I said the types of links you can have is filtered lists in PPO. So if I click on my templates list, it's going to take me to our filtered list of templates on our template and methodology project, and I can quickly access my templates from the My Links widget. There's various other links, but I'm going to quickly show you as a project manager, a type of link that you'd maybe want to access on a regular basis is your project status dashboard. So if you've got your customizable home page, I'm going to quickly show you would edit it. Once I click on my edit button, I have the ability to add a panel. From my panel, I'll have access to add a widget. I'm going to choose the My Links widget, and that's going to add the My Links widget with the default links that have been stored by the PPO administrators, and I'm going to show you how I'd go about adding a link to the project status dashboard. Clicking on the gear icon is your settings. You can see the default ones are here. I don't care about these defaults, so I'm actually going to get rid of them. I'm going to add my own link. This is going to be to my project status dashboard. So the caption is actually the name of the link. Quickly typing in their project status dashboard. I've got a icon that I want to use for my PM dashboard, my project status dashboard, and the link would be a link to the dashboard in PPO. I've got it open there. I'm going to paste it in there, save it, and there's my project status dashboard. I'm going to save my panel. And as a project manager on my dashboard view, I would avoid needing to go to reports, clicking on dashboard, choosing the project status dashboard. Now I can do it directly from my home page view, and it'll take me to the dashboard page. So if anything that should stand out from this is that the My Links is a mechanism for you to store your links to frequently access sites or applications, so that if you open PPO as your only application every morning, anything that you would regularly access is available for you to do directly from your home page. Things that the important ones we've added for you as defaults, because we know these are regularly used ones, is your Office 365, your Teams. What's new? That's the product news blog, PPO's product news blog, and of course your online training, which is your user boot camps, your administrator boot camps, and your lifecycle boot camps, which you can access from this link and register. So that's the My Links widget. And that's something that's already available for the clients that are using the customizable homepage. For your administrators, if you've not spent any time customizing the default links, I would encourage you to do so. And then your users would automatically get links to the defaults that are applicable to your organization. So if you use systems like SAP or Oracle or anything like that, you would have those links available to the users as a default, and they would just customize the ones that are specific to them that they want to use. One thing I didn't cover, which I should maybe, is that you've got drag and drop, so you can order your links as well. So if ChatGPT is one that you want to put right on top there because your boss asks you hard questions and you sometimes need some help answering them, drag and drop is available. It's now my first icon that you see. Okay, so moving on to our next feature, it's the interactive board views. So like I said, I'm going to attempt to use just my dashboard view today, my homepage dashboard views to present this webinar. So I'm going to use my sprints dashboard view. So for those of you that don't know, I mean, PPO is designed to support any type of methodology. So your traditional waterfall-based projects is supported easy in PPO, but more and more we've seen that we've got project environments that have a hybrid approach to project delivery. So things like agile methodologies are becoming more and more important. Sprints, work items, agile delivery is all standard functionality in PPO, and that is something that pushed us to introduce our board view. Our board view has been around now for a while, a couple of months now, probably closer to a year. We've had the board views available. We took the board views a step further and we've made them interactive. So I'm just going to show you on my sprint dashboard view. I've got my sprints, and here at the bottom is where I've got my work items in a board view, and I've chosen to group it by sprint. So this is a completed sprint, so I'm going to collapse it and I'm going to show you an in-progress sprint. So here's a work item in an in-progress sprint. Traditionally, or what you probably used to, is you would have clicked on the item. Clicking on the item would take you to the view page of that work item. You would have clicked on edit. You would have made a couple of changes, whatever was applicable, you would submit. So that was a couple of clicks to be able to achieve an update. We've changed that and made these board views interactive. So if I were to have started working on this, and I know that I've prioritized it to work on this week, my workflow column is my status, and I want to change the status to do. So I'm going to drag it over, and that would update the status of my item for that in progress sprint to do. So it's moved on. I've reduced the number of clicks. All I've done is I've dragged it over. It's changed the status to do. In addition, you've now got inline editing. So as part of making these board views interactive, you see this pencil, you click on the pencil, and you have a mechanism to now update this. The change that I want to make is maybe I want to change this to a critical item. So it's no longer a high priority item, it's a critical item. I can save it, and the item has updated from high to critical without me having to click through to the item. The fields that are available to update is completely in the user's control. So you can, through your gear icon, choose the fields that are available to update here. So if there was any other field that I wanted to update, like maybe the responsibility field, I can add the responsibility, I can drag it up to the top, and I've got the responsibility field there, and I can click on save, and you can see that field is now available to me to update via my inline editing. So now I see the responsibility there. So I can now update that because that's available in my card view. I can change the status. I'm Jane Branch today, so I'm going to update it, save it, and you'll see that the status then updates to Jane, the responsibility updates to Jane Branch. It's important to note that these interactive board views are available not just on work items, on any entity in PPO. So whether it's demand and you're managing your funnel and you're moving your demand items through the status from logged to analysis to approved, your board view, interactive board views would support that. Same is true for projects, and you're moving projects through phases and inline editing, and you want to update cost estimates on projects or duration estimates or portfolios, whatever it might be. This is available on any entity and not just work items as I've shown it here. Okay, so that covers our board views and the inline editing that's available on your cards, and that inline editing would be applicable to any of your list pages when you've got a board view applied. I've seen that there's still some of our clients that haven't set up some default views for your board widgets, and I would encourage you to do that to get the best out of this feature. Okay, so moving on, this is our interactive board views. Remember, I'm sure Lindy is posting links to the resources. These features have been available for a couple months now. All clients would have it. It's not like the home pages. This is all already immediately available to your instance. Okay, now we're going to talk about home pages. So you've seen, as I've attempted, that with the new home pages, it's a mechanism for you to work from a single place. You can access your lists, you can access your dashboards, you can update items all from your home page. So a single source for you to work with your data in PPO. There's various views that you can have based on the role that you play on projects and how you work with the data in PPO. So I'm going to cover a couple of the default dashboards that you would have seen now that you've got this customizable home page. If you've already gone ahead and gotten it, this would be a typical PPO administrator view. You will see from your home page when you log into PPO that the first tab is your dashboard view. You have the ability to rename it. You can add multiple views. There's no limitation to the number of views you have. But at the same time, we know that for everyone, you used to working with your traditional home page. We've not taken that away. So your home page would be your second tab. And if you click on your home page, it would be the traditional homepage view that you used to. This was made up of lists. So you had tables and you would have lists. So you would have your project list, your issue list, your risk list, your task lists, work items, approvals, etc. So we've not changed that for you. You've still got your traditional view, but of course, as you can see, it's not very visual. We have been building up our library of widgets over the last year with the intention of creating a home page where you can visualize your data without having to navigate to reports and dashboards. So looking at an administrator, they would typically oversee your full portfolio. So you've got access to your project list. So you see a view of your non-admin portfolio. You've got your key metrics, which was one of our first widgets that we introduced. So these widgets talk to your portfolio of projects. So an administrator can immediately at a glance see where there's challenges or where they need to be working with the project managers in their environment to turn the picture around. So across the portfolio, we've got overdue risks. We've got a count of 5 of them. And you will notice that there's conditional formatting applied, which is another feature available on your key metrics. So if there were no overdue risks, this color coding would show as green. So when there's lots of reds, there's of course action to be taken by the PPO administrators. This is a good example of exception-based reporting, where your key metrics will showcase or highlight to you where your challenges are. Going further down, you can see health by project manager, data quality by project manager, governance by project manager. So you'll immediately know which are your project managers that you'd need to focus on. I can very quickly see that I've got project managers. I've got projects in my portfolio without a project manager assigned to it. My portfolio Gantt view, this is another example of where you can see the introduction of our widgets is playing a role. So, I mean, our Gantt chart widget was something that we had deployed more than a year ago, probably 2 years ago. But this widget is now applicable to not just only tasks. So anything in PPO that has date parameters. So you think about your projects that have a start and an end date. You could now use that to depict a Gantt view using project data. Another good example is your resource allocations data. You've got a start date, you've got an end date, and that would show what your resource allocation would be using your Gantt chart widget. So this would be a typical PPO administrator view. A lot of our clients haven't had the executive playing as active role as maybe you would have liked them to, looking at the data in PPO. We've designed an executive dashboard view for your executives that do access PPO on a regular basis, and as an incentive for you to encourage your executives to log into PPO more. Their dashboard view would look like this. They would see their projects, and their projects would be the projects that they are the sponsor or the owner on. They would see the health by project manager. They would know exactly where their focus should be. So they'd be seeing information specific to their portfolio that they steer or sponsor, or they the executive responsible for a certain portfolio of projects. So if you've got an executive that looks after transformation, they would have a view designed to look at their transformation portfolio. It's also exception-based reporting, so you can see they're focusing on red risks. An example of conditional formatting, it's green, nothing for me to be concerned about. There's some pending scope changes, decisions, there's at-risk benefits. So it's using all of your existing PPO data in a single view. So there they can access the approvals, the pending decisions, their demand list, their projects that they the sponsor or owner on. They see that immediately without having to navigate to multiple views. Had you customized their My Links widget, they would also have access to the portfolios, dashboards, portfolio views, cost dashboards, etc. Project managers, I know some of you haven't seen all of these views. You just see a view that's based on your user group access and your profile. But for an administrator, they see everything. An executive, they see things that they sponsor or own. A project manager, we've designed the project manager's default dashboard view to show them the items where they are the project manager. So they would immediately see where they have issues with data quality or red projects or governance or the average variance of the projects that they're managing, their budget variance. They can see the budget summary from their projects. I mentioned to you earlier that you can also update the information from this view. So as an example of this, you would select it, you click on your action buttons, you click on edit, and all of your data can be maintained from a single place. Right at the bottom, you would, so that Gantt chart widget that I mentioned, here's the resource allocation for the project manager, seeing their resource allocations over the period in a Gantt view. Right at the bottom, you see the health indicators and the updates that are required for their project. But if you go right to the top, you see data quality is green. Therefore, there's no updates that are due at this point. Had there been updates due, you would have those specific health indicator and comment records that would have required an update. And of course, we didn't forget our team members. Team members, would likely want to see the number of projects that they are a team member on, so they can see their assigned projects. So as Jane, I'm assigned where I have a physical resource allocation record against 2 different projects. Across these 2 projects, I've got 6 open tasks, I've got 2 open risks, I've got 2 open issues. I see my resource allocations against those 2 projects for the period. You've got your zooming in and zooming out based on the start and end date. So your Gantt widgets is interactive. You can move your columns. You can see exactly, the information on those records. Access to the risks. Again, referencing this, you've got 2 open risks. You've got 2 open issues, benefit list, your open task list. I can see the status of these tasks, the average days overdue, and of course, the average variance on the 6 tasks that I have open across the 2 projects that I'm working on. So these dashboard views are designed or geared to the type of user that exists in PPO. Of course, these are our default user group types, but in your space, you might have more. I've got clients that use PPO broadly, and they're for more than just your generic project management knowledge areas that you're used to seeing. I've got Mondi who uses drawing requests, and they have a drawing office. So they've got drawings users that have a view that is specific to drawings. For our agile users or projects that follow our agile methodology, this type of view is particularly useful. You've got your sprints and the status of your sprint. So we know we've got a completed sprint, we've 4 items that were completed, and in progress, a planned sprint. So if you were Scrum Master or you're overseeing sprints across projects, this would be a useful view for you. You've got access to your work item report in your links, work item status by responsible person. So here you're seeing an example of a bar chart, a table, a donut, another donut, and of course your board view, which we saw earlier. So these are your default views. Starting out a new, completely brand new homepage, you would need to go into your edit mode. You would click on the plus tab, and you start basically building your dashboard view using all of the widgets that are now available. And the widgets we've seen is a bar chart, a donut, a My Links, a table, which is your standard list that you're used to seeing, your Gantt chart, your board, your calendar, key metric, and of course your tree map. It's no different to you adding your widgets on your list pages. So that's what we started our journey with a couple months ago, probably 18 months, 24 months ago, 2 years ago, is where you started with being able to add widgets to your list. And now we've just expanded that and given you the ability to add these widgets on a single dashboard view, and it's a combination of different lists, different entities, and multiple widgets all on the same view. And that is basically our homepage, our customizable homepage. You have, as a user, complete flexibility to create as many views as you want. Of course, there are default views that have been set up. So just a caution, if you are a team member, as an example, so I'm just going to delete this new tab. So say you're a team member. I'm going to click on our team member view. And you attempt to restore default. What will happen is if you've made any changes to your view, by clicking on Restore Default, you will restore to the generic homepage dashboard view that was set up for your user group, which has been maintained by your PPO administrators. So while you have this view, the administrators do have the ability to continue to add to these on behalf of the user and have multiple views. And if you, as a user, attempt to restore, you will get what the generic is that's been set up by your system administrators. And that is home pages. I think I've covered it all. Guy, Lindy, just keep me honest. Is there anything around our home pages, customizable home pages, that I didn't cover that I should before we hand over to Helga?
I think just a comment from my side. If you've never seen a customizable homepage and you're looking at PPO today and you don't see this, we've activated this for all clients. It's available to all, but we haven't switched it on for every client. Some of the clients we have are still considering what the default setups are. For some of the clients, they obviously have a large number of user groups. So if you don't have this yet, the feature is available. It's in your system. It's the same source code as everyone else. It just hasn't been approved by your PPO administrators for us to activate. So maybe you walk down the corridor, pop them a Teams message and say, I want my customizable homepage. What's holding us back? And off you go. We're aiming to have it done for all clients by the end of March, and I think we've got a handful left. So I don't know if any of them are on the call today, but yeah, just context to that. Taryn, I think you've covered it.
Okay, perfect. Helga, are you there? On mute. Just check. Do I have any messages? I see quite a few guys from Harmony. I'm not sure if you're all in one meeting room or session, or let me just check with Helga. Give me 1 second.
There was a question asked on the group, which I just want to cover now while Taryn is busy connecting with Helga. These views, what we've done is we've set them up for each client, for each user group that you have. So if you've got 3 or 4 or 10 or 15 user groups, we've set them up. Once the feature is deployed and we've taken that switch off, the default view for that user group then gets deployed. So you as administrators don't have to go and do anything for this. If, however, you want to change or tweak or modify a setup of a specific group, you're able to go and do that under the administration tab. So we've done all the hard lifting work already for the deployment. It's literally just up to you guys to go and tweak it if you want to add something or change something or modify it for all user groups. If the modification is only for you as a user and there's something you want to add on your own, then you would do it under your homepage section where you're able to do that. Taryn, I think while we're waiting for Helga, I think let's just move on
Okay.
so it won't lose too much time.
Okay, well, somebody just let me know when Helga joins and I will cover the next feature. If you see her coming in, I've also checked on the side, but not yet. I'm going to cover sticky headings next. So sticky headings is probably something that has been requested for a while now, and we've got good news. We've introduced sticky headings as well as repeated headings in your PDF reports. Sticking to my promise of using my homepage dashboard to show you this, I'm going to click on my portfolio view to demonstrate it. So in case it does, the terminology doesn't ring a bell, sticky headings is a mechanism. It's a user interface feature that allows you to, as you scroll down, so here we have a heading if we're looking at our project portfolio, which we would hope stays with us as we're scrolling down the page. And that's exactly what's happening. So you can see that as you scroll, the heading is sticky and it moves with you as you move down the page. So this would also show in a PDF output. So what would have typically happened in your PDF report? I'll show you a before and after example so you see it. So this is my normal PDF view. This is with the sticky headings applied. I'm opening my PDF output of the portfolio. Oh, let me just group it by something that would show it in the best way. So I'm going to choose to group it by status. So I'm just going to group by status and pull my PDF view for you. So what you'll see is that in the PDF output, the heading will be repeated in the page. So let me just open it from a download here. Give me 1 second. So here, when I've grouped it by This is still grouped by phase. Let me just group it by status once again. Close this view. You will see that the heading will move with you. So in the portfolio view, the sticky heading there is shown on the second page as well. So it's a repeated heading in your PDF output. So this is something that was requested for a long time, and I think this will make a lot of our PMO's lives easier when they're extracting out their PDF reports to show or to share with their stakeholders. You now have that repeated heading on every page on your PDF output. For the old view, just so that you can see the improvements, I'm going to pull exactly the same thing, grouped by status. If I pull the dashboard view first, you'll see the heading there. As I scroll, it wouldn't move with me. So it didn't move with me as I scrolled. And with the new view, that heading did move with me. Same for the PDF output, pulling the PDF of this. The heading is not repeated on the PDF view. So let's see, as this one opens, you'll see it breaks off on the page and you don't see that heading repeated in your PDF view. So that's a new improvement. It will be available to your existing reports and dashboards. Some of you might have amended these and you've added specific page breaks to account for this. If you pull any of your reports and you see that the viewing of them doesn't look as you expect it to, just feel free to reach out to your SM or via the support desk, and they'll ensure that the sticky headings and PDF headings are working with your existing page breaks that you've got applied. So that's sticky headings. I am just going to cover our next feature, which is our scatter graph. And while we're on our portfolio views outputs, this is the perfect chance for me to show it. So scatters is a graph type that we've had in PPO since forever. So it's always been a graph type that's been available. We've improved it. So if you're not familiar with it, you'll see an example of the old scatter. The old scatter or the scatter is useful for where you want to see some form of a funnel type view. But the challenge with the old scatter was that we had no control over the symbols that are used in the scatter. And if you had data, multiple items that had the exact same priority in the same phase, those projects would be hidden behind the symbol. So we couldn't control that, but now with the new scatter, it's something that can be controlled. So I'm going to pull the same portfolio view, and you'd be able to see old versus new very quickly. So here you can truly see that funnel type view, and it's useful where you want to see a cluster of projects in a particular phase, or the color is now controlled by the health of the project. We can see the priority on the y-axis, the phase on the x-axis, and you can see every single project referenced on the scatter, and you've got nothing hidden behind a project or another piece of data. So it's clearly visible here. Some other examples of this, if I just went to my homepage again, I'm going to show it to you on the demand report as well, where we've introduced the scatter. This would be something for you to think about in your prioritization matrix, or a risk matrix, or stakeholder analysis. You can see your demand by business priority and total cost of ownership, which is here on the y-axis, and you can see this would be our low-cost demand items with the high priority, high cost, high priority, and you can see the color of the symbol is based on the business priority. So, I mean, that is something that is now available for you to do. Another example would be on your work items reports, which I'll show you via our sprints. So there's very many use cases for it. I think we've got one for approvals as well. So if you've got using online approvals in PPO, you'd be able to see where your approvals are clustered. This was our portfolio view with our work item report, which I'm sure I had open here. I've got too many tabs open. So let me just show you our work item report quickly so you can get a view of that as well. And maybe approvals. So let me show you our document approvals tracking report. If I wanted to look at just our document approvals and I wanted to see all statuses, and in the report view, I would very quickly see where projects are stuck. So you can see business case, project charter, these approvals are stuck, and therefore this would mean that we've got very few projects that are moving out formally from a formal gate review process, they're still stuck in either pre-initiating or initiating, because these are the key documents in those phases that will get you into planning, execution, and so forth. So this is a good example, another good example of how your scatter graph could work for you. The one I promised I'd show you is the work item report, and we can see all of our work items are clustered here in new, and we can see the estimate hours. So we've got quite a few items where we've not specified the estimate hours to execute on these work items. So there's a couple of use cases for the scatter. If scatter graphs is something that you don't have in your instance just yet and haven't seen a use case for it until now, here are these use cases that I've shared, and please feel free to reach out to your SM or the support desk, and they can definitely help and guide you on how you can make use of it. Do we have Helga yet? Not yet. Okay, so I'll show you our last feature that was planned. I'm just going to do it from my PPO administrator homepage view, my dashboard. And this, I mean, one thing I didn't cover when I was showing your homepage views is that you've got the standard functionality that you would have had on your list page. So if you were working with your list page, you can see you've got control over your gear icon. You can choose the columns that you see in your table. You can choose the list page size, so the number of records that you see in your table, and most importantly, you have access to the filter control. So your filter control is where you can hide or show your filter and then work with the data that you've got shown in your table or in your list. So the feature that I'm showing you is our is empty filtering. That's a new feature that's come out in the last 2 or 3 weeks, and this is useful for the PMO type user or even the project manager, but it's where you're trying to manage the quality of the data that you've got in PPO and plug your data gaps, specifically around your non-mandatory fields that you're hoping are completed at some point during the life of the project. Earlier, I had shown you that I saw on my bar chart that there were projects without a project manager assigned. So I'm going to use a project manager field, and you'll see that there is a is empty filtering option, which was not available to you before. What you would have had to have done is you would have gone and created a complex filter that would have said, show me, or the filter item would have been project manager is empty, and you would have had to create the filter that way. But now you can just, from using this is empty filtering, you can select it and apply it, and you will see the projects that don't have an assigned project manager. So your list is now filtered. It shows me the 2 projects, and that would make sense based on this graph that I saw earlier, this bar chart, where I could see there were 2 projects without a project manager assigned. This is empty filtering option works on employee list fields. It works on custom list fields. So an example of a custom list would be a field where the cost estimate is blank or the department is blank and hasn't been captured. You can also do this on date fields. So you might have projects with a required end date. So if you choose required end date and you'd want to see in your standard list of available shared filters, there would be a no date option. So this would be basically saying, show me all the records where the required end date has not been captured. And in this case, as it does its thing, I've got 2 projects where the same 2 projects without a project manager does not have a required end date captured. So you can now plug your data gaps, available any list page, any entity, very quickly you can filter on that data that's empty or blank or no dates have been captured. And I just see there is Helga, and she's asking me to dial her in. So just give me 2 seconds and let me dial her in. I'm going to forward her the invite.
She's got her hand up. She's in the room.
Oh, she's in. She's in.
I sneaked in. My apologies, everyone. I'm very, very sorry, but here I am. Thanks, Taryn, for keeping the floor busy. Hi, everyone.
Okay, perfect. So, Helga, Guy, are you happy to introduce Helga? I might be biased.
I'm going to do it very quickly based on the time. Helga's got a good story to tell, so I don't want to lose you guys as you all drop off at 2:00. So Helga runs the PMO at Harmony. Started out with Harmony as an IT PMO. We've then moved now into the capital space as well. So we do all the capital projects at Harmony, and Helga now runs business and strategic projects as well. So a fairly large, complex portfolio, a lot of project managers, employed and contracted. And Helga had some challenges around all the performance reporting and scorecarding and scoring and weighting of all the different project managers. So approached us and said, how best do we do this? So Helga's been running this now for about 6 months to a year, probably something like that. And all we wanted to do was showcase what we've got. I've had about 5 clients ask me this in the last quarter, and I've told them all they must wait until today. So my diary will probably be full tomorrow. But Helga, straight over to you. Thank you very much for taking the time, and thanks for joining us. But we're going to go straight over to you so that you can show us what you've done and sort of your lessons learned, I suppose, as part of this.
Yes, no, thanks for that. Thanks for the introduction. Hi, everyone. I see there's quite a couple on, so I won't expect you to introduce yourselves. I'm assuming our audience is all probably facing the same challenges I did when I started to do the actual how do we make sure that we utilize our PPO tool to the fullest without having to do performance appraisals or managing our project delivery outside of PPO. So all of us do that. We've got a tool, but then we know Excel, and we start using the Excel spreadsheets to manage our projects. So I reached out to Taryn and team, and they then talked me through and showed me some interesting things we could do on the tool. And that included, I mean, it's an emotional thing when you do a performance appraisal. So to take the emotion, most of it out, is to let the system drive the expectations. So we could put values in there that we, KPI values, and it actually became a competition once we introduced it, and which was quite a pleasant surprise to me. The PMs didn't see it as something that I was beating them with, but rather, what is my percentage this week? It needs to be a higher percentage next week. And then you would get that odd one that didn't agree with whatever the machine pushed out until we would review it. And then they're quite happy to say, oh, all right, now I understand. So Taryn, I don't know if you want me to share my screen and just talk through the actual contract manager reporting.
Yep, the Project Manager Scorecard. I've got it open, Helga, so it's your choice. I can open it and you talk through it, or
do you want me to talk through it?
Yeah, happy for you
All
to
right.
talk through it. Is there a specific project manager? Did you get their go ahead for me to use this?
We're gonna use Neve's projects or her
Okay.
scorecard.
Okay. So you can all see it?
Almost.
Okay, there we go.
All right.
Think you should.
Yeah. There we go. I hope those are not thumbs up for the 62% because that is a fail. So typically what we would do is I'll look at those two indicators at the top that shows me has this PM completed their timesheet in time. We do require them to do their timesheets on a weekly basis. So we've selected a day, and by that day the cutoff is they need to have the hours in. And we need that because you know yourself, we need to do planning, we need to do allocations and actual budget spends. So the PPO team also further to this now are building in the back how I print my invoices from here. So watch this space. Then the overall score, that score I manage at the moment at 80%. So anything below 80% calls for me having a serious conversation with my team member. But at 80%, I'm fairly happy and confident that the project is not in danger. And what we track them on our metrics are the percentage timesheets complete. So typically in this instance, are we looking for the month? What is the selection, Taryn?
So in the last week, so I just chose the last week. So this looks at all time having been booked for up until last Friday. So as it stands, not all time, so 62% of the time was booked from Monday to Friday of last week.
Yeah. So typically the values that we see, this PM is running 5 projects. So across those projects, what were the a point for every time it is completed, the KPI has been met, then the weighting, and then the score. So unfortunately, my star pupil got a 0% score for timesheets in the last week, and I will be having a discussion with her. And then,
Meve's not on the call. I'm sorry, Meve.
Meve, you can quietly leave and start preparing your timesheets. We'll have a discussion soon. But typically the initiation completed in time. So we experienced a lot of challenges with getting our projects launched. So we would go into the demand phase, move from demand into initiation, and then we spend the next 900 days. Not that bad, but it felt like that. And we now have a KPI that measures that they've got a certain amount of days that they can stay in this phase. And then I just track that to make sure that we do get the launching of the project. Typically in this instance, out of the 5 projects, 3 of them did move out of initiation in time, and the remainder, and there's valid reasons for that. But yeah, and we are, so I'm not concerned about that, but typically this is where I would pick up if we are spending too much time in our initiation phase. Then we expect our PMs to do lessons learned on all their projects every 90 days. That just keeps all of us adhered to what are the risks. And also when we start new projects, we can look at that. So we want them to share their lessons learned across. So these lessons are then shared across multiple projects with our business stakeholders as well. So it's important for me to have oversight of that. Projects on track tolerance. So we need to make sure that their projects do not, the variance we've got at the moment is 5%. So any project that the variance is more than 5% will pick up here. So thanks, Meve. Your 20% well deserved. You're managing your project within the agreed or tolerated time percentages. And then just on our cost tolerance, similar, we've got a mark where that is, they can't exceed that. So if the cost spend is more than they budgeted, or what also is being tracked here is, are they updating their costs on a monthly basis? Because, invoices gets printed. And what we found was that, again, managing on the Excel spreadsheet, we want them to manage from the PPO tool. So the top was the summary, and the bottom is then per week, you will have this band that shows me specifically looking at the metrics performance or the project reporting. So the metrics performance per project, there's MEV's 5 projects, and you can see timesheet compliance. I can see exactly for this week, the timesheets weren't done for any one of those. Initiation completed all the projects except, as I've mentioned, the FRAG and the TMM. And then lessons captured, well done, project on track. There were some cost challenges on the FRAG project, hence the percentage of 72 for the week. The bottom band then tracks how they are interacting and using the tool. So are they updating their costs? Are they using the health indicators? Because we are using this tool. This is our tool of choice. It's a brilliant tool, and I need to check and make sure that they are using it. Yeah, on that, all I can say further to this is that it's, as I said, it's become a competition amongst us, and ever so often we'll do a screenshot and say, guess who, if we've got some winners, and then we're going to have a oh sorry nee, we will have a oh sorry nee site somewhere where we'll say, okay, these guys, yeah, some competition. But it's been a brilliant tool in terms of, as I said, making an informed decision when we have our performance discussions, because in my space, all my resources are contracted, and you don't want to have. I need to be able to make sure that they are doing what they are contracted for without having to stand with a whip behind them. So we allow some tolerances, and our checks are performed on a weekly or monthly basis.
Harmony is also one of the very good PPO clients that use portfolio reporting straight out of PPO. They don't drop it into something else and massage it and modify it and do stuff. So having the data accurate, real time, is important to Helga, because she reports, you can imagine, a company the size of Harmony to 100 different people for 100 different things. So knowing that when she runs those reports, the data quality is good is key. Otherwise, you need a team of PMO people to chase people around to do stuff so that you can produce reports. So a lot of this is driving that need as well, where there's this ongoing constant reporting needed in various forums across the portfolio, which is a large portfolio as well. I mean, 1 PM, 5 projects, you can imagine the size of their portfolio if you extrapolate that. I know some of you are dropping off. Thank you very much for attending. We will stick around, the rest of us. Helga's still online as well if there are any specific questions to Helga. We did have a survey at the end. If Taryn does run it, that's great. If you don't, if you have dropped off already, then so be it. But we'll stick around and answer any questions we have. Our next scheduled session is in June, if I remember correctly, Taryn?
Yeah, 12th of June.
Okay, 12th of June, just before the 16th of June holiday. So it's our next session. We're hard at work already with a number of enhancements that'll take us up to that one. We're looking for any good client stories as well. So if any of you here are inspired by Helga and what she's shared, please chat to us, let us know. There's some very interesting usages of PPO and specific sort of features and functionalities. So we always want to just share those back. I've already got 2 emails in my mailbox, Helga, for people wanting to meet you. So I hope you're not going away for Easter or anything like that, because it sounds like you're going to be busy meeting some of the other PMO managers. Those of you that saw some merit in this and want to explore project management, scorecarding or data quality or any one of those things, we'll facilitate an introduction to Helga. If you'd like to chat directly to Helga, I'm sure she'd be more than willing to help based on her capacity and availability. But all of us at PPO know how this works as well. So you can literally reach out to the support desk, reach out to any of the team members at PPO and say, I'd like to explore this. Where do I start? You already have data quality as a very simple, easy metric in PPO. You all have that. Some of you have got governance, but then it's starting to extend it. What does quality data look like? What type of rituals or disciplines, like Helga's illustrated, lessons learned, and those type of things? How do we track? How do we use the data that PPO has to track these things and give you some real-time reporting? What Helga and Taryn didn't show today, but you can start to trend that data over time, and you can now compare Project Manager A to the group, and you can see what it looks like on a weekly basis. So there's really some nice stuff you can do once you've got it going. You first need to get it going and get it entrenched, and as Helga says, work with the project managers to get them to understand it and adopt it and see the value of it, and then you can start to do some nice stuff. Andrea has posted the next webinar in the chat for those of you still on the call, so you can go and register there ready today, and as soon as we put out the agenda and all the rest of it. Helga, I just want to thank you again for joining us and for sharing your journey. Taryn, thank you for your presentation again, as always. To the DevOps team, so you won't ever see them. They hide behind their webcams. But to the DevOps team that do all the hard work in the background on all these features and functions that we've deployed, thanks, guys. I know we push you hard. I know we probably drive you crazy. But thanks, and hopefully some of the feedback you've seen here from the clients directly motivates you to get out of bed nice and early tomorrow and get going with the next set of items in the pipeline. We're going to stick around for another 5 or 10 minutes, answer any questions you may have. You're more than welcome to pop them in the chat, ask them unmuted if you want to, but we'll stick around and just wait in case there's anything else. But thanks very much for everyone for joining. I know I got a lot of emails in my mailbox I see from people asking about the recording, 1 or 2 that couldn't attend, that were late or had some challenges. Yes, we'll share the recording. We'll share this with everyone, and you're more than welcome to share this with anybody in your team. The more people that see this, and I think the more access to this, the better for our users. Okay, lots of thank yous coming up. Helga, you got your hand up.
Yes, and my apologies. I unfortunately have to drop off the call, but please share my email address if anyone wants to reach out to me. I'll gladly speak. Already some people in the private chat reached out. Please share my email. I'm happy to engage, but I have to drop off.
Good stuff. Thank you very much, Helga. Yes, and thanks for allowing us to share your email. We'll do that, and you guys can then reach out directly to Helga.
Wonderful. Thank you. Bye-bye, everyone.
Thanks, Helga.
Alternatively, you guys can also sign up for the blog. Helga's case study will be published on the 26th of March, so you can look out for that in our Thursday newsletter. And all the detail of what she's done and some of the challenges she faced will be included in that case study.
For those of you that are eagle-eyed as well, one of the projects in that portfolio of that PM was the Oracle integration to PPO. So if you are considering integration to other ERP systems or stuff, Helga and the team at Harmony have done that. They've done all the development of that themselves, as is normal. They make use of the PPO API, but they do that. So if you've got an integration need as well, Helga might also be a good contact to have a chat to. Okay. I see there's only 25 people left. Taryn, we'll stick around. The PPO team, thanks guys and girls for joining. I see some of your faces there. And I'll stick around and answer any questions that might pop up.
Okay, was that your way of giving me a pass? Are you saying I must drop? I must leave? You're going to carry the...
No. You're going to sit right to the end.
So, Denise, a quick question. These dashboards that you guys were talking about a little bit earlier, sorry, I joined a bit late. Are they active for us yet on our side? Do we have to activate them still, or are they active for us at AB and Bev?
Not they on your hello Denise. It's on your instance, but we haven't switched on that feature switch yet. I think it relates to all the number of user groups you guys have. Yeah. It's something we're going to try and get done for you guys specifically in the next 2 weeks.
Perfect. All right. As I said, I'd really like to have a session with you guys at a working session, because I think you are going to save us 100% of having to go outside of PPO for reporting. Exactly as you were saying, Helga's doing. This is the dream of ours, that we don't have to go anywhere else. We can just pull everything we want directly from you. So looking forward to that. And thanks for a great session, guys. Really informative.
Good stuff. Thanks, Denise. We saw your email pop up during the call, so Lindy or myself will reach out.
Yeah, and as I say, so as soon as you can make that work for us, then we'll definitely have a session. But I think we've got some good stuff coming out here. Really great one. Thanks, guys.